A sickening crash echoed through the high-end shopping concourse. Brass gears, tiny springs, and shattered glass scattered across the polished marble floor. This rusty garbage is a disgrace to our elite clientele. The mall manager's face was red with fury as he kicked the broken wooden leg of the small repair stand. Get this trash out of my sight before I have you arrested for loitering. Claire fell to her knees. She did not cry. She just desperately reached for a bent escapement wheel. That watch was not just a machine. It was the last memento of a poor family who had trusted her to restore it. A shadow fell over her. A man in a faded canvas jacket stepped forward. He gently picked up a microscopic gear from the floor. He looked at the manager with a chilling and quiet calm. The value of this so-called garbage could buy your entire life. Hello, everyone. Time can wear down mountains, but it can never erase the value of true integrity. If you believe in the justice of time, leave this affirmation in the comments below. Right now, I believe God's time is always fair to every honest heart. And make sure to subscribe to the channel today. You will not want to miss how this story ends. Let us get back to the mall. Claire was not like the other merchants here. She did not have a fancy storefront or a designer uniform. She had a small wooden box of tools and a brilliant mind. She spent her days fixing the broken timepieces that luxury brands refused to touch. She restored memories for people who could not afford to buy new ones. She charged almost nothing. She did it out of pure passion and respect for history. Today, she had set up her little stool near the entrance of the Grand Plaza. The manager, a man named Sterling, despised anything that did not scream wealth. He saw her as a stain on his perfect marble floors. He wanted to make an example out of her in front of the wealthy shoppers. Then, there was Henry. Henry looked like any struggling single father. His boots were scuffed. His jacket was worn at the elbows. He held the hand of his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. But Henry was not looking for a cheap meal. He was the chairman of one of the most exclusive Swiss mechanical watch empires in the world. He was here in disguise to show his daughter the real market. He wanted her to see how people treated those they considered beneath them. True wealth, he always told her, was measured by how you treat the vulnerable. Sterling sneered at Henry's worn jacket. Are you her homeless boyfriend? Get lost before I have security throw you both in the alley where you belong. The crowd of wealthy shoppers stopped to whisper and point. They looked at Claire and Henry with sheer disgust. A woman in a fur coat covered her nose. They really let anyone into this plaza nowadays, she muttered. Henry ignored them all. He knelt down on the cold floor, right next to Claire. He looked at the shattered pieces of the vintage watch. The mainspring was completely unspooled. The balance wheel was detached. It looked like a hopeless cause. May I? Henry asked softly. Claire looked at his calloused hands. She nodded, completely unsure of what this stranger could possibly do. Henry reached into Claire's spilled toolkit. He picked up a pair of worn brass tweezers. What happened next left Claire absolutely breathless. Henry did not just reassemble the parts. He moved with a mechanical grace that she had only read about in history books. His fingers worked with microscopic precision. He realigned the balance spring without a single hesitation. He adjusted the jewel bearings by pure touch. He was not just fixing a watch, he was breathing life back into a dead heart. Lily stood quietly by his side. Her eyes were shining with intense pride. She knew exactly who her father was. She knew he never backed down from bullies. Sterling grew impatient and embarrassed by the crowd watching this street performance. He realized people were starting to pay attention to the poor man instead of him. I said, "Get out!" Sterling screamed. He grabbed his walkie-talkie. Security, get to the main atrium right now. I have 2 vagrants harassing the VIP guests. Bring the handcuffs. Henry did not flinch. He snapped the final casing of the watch closed. A perfect rhythmic ticking sound, filled the tense air. He handed the fully restored watch back to Claire. "You have an incredible eye for detail, Claire," Henry said gently. "You keep your tools incredibly clean, despite the dust of the street. That is the mark of a true master." Claire was stunned. The watch was running better than it had in 50 years. "Who are you?" she whispered. Before Henry could answer, 4 heavy security guards rushed into the atrium. They surrounded Henry and Claire. Sterling crossed his arms with a triumphant smirk. "Put them in cuffs and throw their trash in the dumpster." Henry slowly stood up. He placed himself between the guards and his daughter. He did not raise his voice. He did not show an ounce of fear. He just looked at Sterling with a terrifying sense of peace. The kind of peace only a man with absolute power can possess. Henry's calm energy shifted the entire atmosphere of the room. Even the security guards hesitated for a fraction of a second. Before we see what Henry does next, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. When you face unfairness, staying calm is your greatest weapon. If you agree, drop the words into the comments right now. I believe God's time is always fair to every honest heart. Let those words be a reminder that your time will come. Sterling snapped his fingers in the air. "Take him down, now." The head of security reached for Henry's shoulder. Henry did not step back. He did not raise his voice. He calmly reached into his worn canvas jacket. He pulled out a sleek, matte black smartphone. It was the only piece of modern technology he carried. "Before you make a mistake, that will ruin your career, officer," Henry said evenly. "I suggest you scan the micro-engraving on the balance wheel of that watch." Sterling laughed out loud. It was a cruel, echoing laugh. "What is this absolute nonsense? Are we playing spy games now, old man?" I said arrest him, but the head of security hesitated. He looked down at the device in Henry's hand. He recognized the encrypted security application flashing on the screen. It was military-grade software. It was the kind of digital clearance only global executives possessed. The officer slowly took out his own standard-issue scanner. He aimed it at the tiny brass gear resting in Claire's palm. A microscopic QR code, completely invisible to the naked eye, registered on the laser lens. A loud, piercing beep echoed through the massive atrium. Suddenly, the giant digital advertising boards across the mall flickered violently. The luxury fashion commercials vanished. Every single screen in the plaza turned a deep, royal blue. A golden crest appeared simultaneously on every display. It was the unmistakable, legendary logo of the Swiss watch conglomerate. A mechanical voice announced over the public address system. Code red. National treasure confirmed. Authentication successful. Welcome to the Grand Plaza. Chairman Henry. The entire concourse went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop on the polished marble floor. Sterling's face drained of all color. His jaw practically hit his chest. His knees began to tremble uncontrollably under his expensive suit. The arrogant customers who had mocked Henry just moments ago took a collective step back. The women in fur coats covered their mouths in absolute shock. The head of security immediately dropped his hands. He took 2 steps back and bowed his head deeply. I am so sorry, sir," the officer stammered. "We had absolutely no idea." Henry ignored the trembling guards. He looked directly into Sterling's panicked eyes. "This entire plaza is owned by my conglomerate. Sterling, we bought the master lease last week. I came here today, in disguise. I wanted to see exactly how my tenants treat the working class. I wanted to see the reality of this market. You have shown me exactly what I needed to know." Sterling collapsed to his knees, right in the middle of the concourse. He was sweating profusely. "Mr. Chairman, please, I was just trying to maintain the high prestige of the plaza." She was making the area look cheap and dirty. Henry shook his head in absolute disgust. "Prestige is not about the imported marble on your floor. It is about the integrity of the people standing on it. You do not respect true craftsmanship. You only respect money." and you use your tiny amount of power to crush those who are struggling, you are fired, effective immediately. Your severance is cancelled. Pack your desk and leave my property before I have you arrested for destruction of a historical artifact. Sterling began to sob uncontrollably. He begged for a second chance. He grabbed at the hem of Henry's worn jacket. But the security guards, realizing who their true boss was, quickly grabbed Sterling by the arms. They dragged the screaming, humiliated manager out of the beautiful mall he had terrorized for years. The crowd watched, in stunned, breathless silence. Right there, in front of the wealthiest elite, true justice was served cold. If you love seeing arrogant bullies get exactly what they deserve, take a moment right now. Go to the comments and declare your faith. I believe God's time is always fair to every honest heart. Hit that like button, and let us celebrate this victory together. Now, let us get back to Claire. Claire was still sitting on her small wooden stool. She was clutching the flawlessly restored vintage watch to her chest. She looked at the billionaire, who had just fixed a complex mechanism with her old worn tweezers. Henry crouched down next to her again. He smiled at her. It was a warm, genuine, and deeply respectful smile. Your tools are old, Claire, but your spirit is completely unbroken. You have an incredible gift. You are a fast learner, with a brilliantly positive attitude. You do not let failure, poverty, or cruel people stop you from doing what you love. You have the exact mindset and drive my company needs. He pulled a heavy, embossed metal card from his pocket. He handed it to her gently. I am opening a brand new global division for heritage restoration. I want you to be the executive director. You will have a state-of-the-art laboratory. You will have a team of the best apprentices in the world. You will never have to fix watches on a cold floor again. Tears finally streamed down Claire's dirt-smudged face. They were not tears of sorrow. They were tears of pure joy, relief, and validation. Years of brutal struggle and being looked down upon were finally over. Her positive energy had finally attracted the miracle she deserved. She accepted the card with trembling hands. I will not let you down, sir, she whispered softly. Henry stood up and took his daughter's small hand. Lily looked up at her father with a giant, glowing grin. She had learned the greatest lesson of her young life today. She learned that true wealth is not what you wear. It is what you do when you have the power to destroy, but choose to protect instead. Later that evening, Claire sat in her new, warmly lit apartment. She looked at the vintage watch, ticking flawlessly on her clean desk. Time really does heal all wounds. Time always reveals the truth. Never give up on your passion. No matter how incredibly hard things get, keep working hard in silence. Keep your heart pure and your mind open to learning, because you never know when the right person is watching your struggle. Before you go, make sure to leave our final affirmation in the comments. I believe God's time is always fair to every honest heart. Thank you so much for watching Dad Life Stories. Subscribe to the channel right now, so you never miss another incredible journey of resilience. Stay strong, stay kind, and we will see you in the next video.